Jenny, you're mute.
Thank you, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Welcome back, everyone. We're really, really excited now for our guest speaker, Dr. Dickon Bettinger. We introduced you a little bit earlier, Dickon, because I just said you've been someone since I met you who's been encouraging and supporting me as a teacher and as a friend, and you've kind of been there throughout a lot of change in my life, and I've always loved to listen to you, and I've got to see you change over the years and how you share, and it's always just a treat for me to get to sit back and listen to you. And I'm so excited to have so many people on this call. When we woke up this morning, we really didn't know how many people were going to be here. It could have been 10, it could have been 5, I had no idea. And then we came on this morning and these people trickled in, and it's been between about 50 and 60 screens. And I know that at the moment we're up to 62 screens, and sometimes there's 2 people. So I'm so glad that you got to sort of be part of this group, and everyone here is going to get to hear you speak. We've had an amazing first part of the day, and I'm glad you got to hear some of the observations and reflections that we just had. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. Is there anything you wanted to say?
Just thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for always being part of our events.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks,
I'd like to
Dave.
hand it over to you. If there's anything that I think last time we said, you asked, what do you want us to talk? What do you want me to talk about? And we just said, whatever's making your heart sing in the moment, what you're seeing at the moment. This is a very open conversation we have at the moment. Our title for the retreat is The Logic of Freedom.
Yeah.
That's the title for our retreat. If that's something you'd like to speak about, or if there's anything you want to speak about, we would just like to hand it over to you and whatever's floating your boat, sir.
Wow. You said whatever makes my heart sing. That's a beautiful phrase. What makes our heart sing? It's the only reason I got into the principles is I met a man whose heart was singing and helped me learn to live in a heart that's singing. That's the reason I've been doing this for 33 years is there's nothing more enjoyable than seeing people wake up, open up, stop identifying with all the insecurity. And then everybody has a beautiful song to sing. Everybody. And everybody's song is different. And although everybody's song is different, everybody's song is a heart song. My teacher, Sid Banks, says this is a journey of love because it starts in love and it ends in pure love. Pure love. That's interesting, isn't it? He says pure love is a different kind of love because it's not at all dependent upon anything. It just exists on its own. Sometimes we call it unconditional love, love of the heart. Maybe I'll talk a little about that as we go. But all I know is that as people's insights into the very nature of life, the very oneness of life, you start to feel like you belong to this whole affair called life. You start to feel like you're connected to everything. So Sid says it's a different kind of love. It's a love where you fall in love with the whole world. It's another way of saying it's all inclusive, it's one. If we're all part of this same dancing field of energy that's infinite, we're all part of it like waves are part of an ocean. We may look like individual waves that have differences, but we're all one in the ocean of thought, in the ocean of consciousness, in the ocean of mind. And those three principles cover everything. Everything. And there's no end to insights people can have about that, right? It couldn't possibly come to the end of infinity, the very nature of our souls, the very nature of life. So it's a great exploration. I mean, I still get passionate about this. I get a kick out of it. The whole secret is not to go walking around thinking about this. The whole secret is to fall out of the limitation of our personal mind and all of its shoulds and judgments and dictates, and fall into this wide open space of presence. And in that space of presence, there's an acceptance of everything that comes and goes. It's unconditional love. And in that space is a deeper knowing and intelligence that knows how to create everything in the universe. When we talk about each of us, then we're all connected to a deeper intelligence. We're all connected to wisdom. Divine thought, divine consciousness, divine mind. Three ways of talking about the same dancing field of energy. It's saying the ultimate nature of the universe is, number one, it's whole. And in that whole, there's an intelligence that knows how to create and operate life. That's the principle of mind. In the whole, another way of talking about the whole dance of energy, formless into form, the logic of formless into form, is awareness. Everything, every cell in the universe that's created has awareness. Why is that? It's created from awareness. It's one field of consciousness. The very nature of the universe is creative. Out of nothing comes everything. That's the principle of thought. It's three characteristics of the very nature of life itself, the very essence of life itself. It's wise, it's aware, it's creative. So that, and as one, as a totality, it's love. So when I see people, if I really see people, I see a loving, wise, aware, creative, who sometimes gets caught up in their thinking and forgets that they're wise, aware, and loving and creative. Oh, we do forget, don't we? We think we're the little wave. We get all insecure and think, oh, I am insecure, rather than I am the universe, and insecurity is just a little teeny ripple on the surface of the ocean that I am. Okay, let me bring this down to earth. I can remember the very first training I went to where I'm hearing people talk about these principles. I'm going, what the heck is going on? I had been a psychologist for 10 years. I had been through a day of class. They had been talking about the inside nature of life, and that we live in the world of thought, and that from the moment we're born until we die, we're experiencing our own thinking. It's a gift that allows us to experience life. Without thought, we wouldn't be human. And I'm going, well, that all sounds good, but really what, okay, it's all thought, big deal. What's that have to do with me? Now I'm sitting in my hotel room that night and I start thinking about a meeting I have a week later. And I'm thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And it involves some people that are a little difficult. And I'm thinking about how they're going to be and how I'm going to react. And all of a sudden, I realize that I'm really anxious. So here I am sitting in a hotel room in Tampa, Florida, thinking about something that isn't even happening, hasn't happened, and never will happen. It's just made up in my mind. And I think that was the very first time that I made the connection between what I was feeling and here I am thinking about the future, and that thinking is making me really anxious. And it was like I woke up out of that thought dream. And I started laughing. I'm the one sitting here using this gift of thought to think about something that's not even happening. And it's making me really anxious. And when I woke up out of that dream, it's just like waking up out of a dream going, oh, thank God it was just a dream. And that's really what happened to Sid Banks in his very first insight. Somebody said, Sid, you're not insecure, you just think you are. And he woke up so strongly. He goes, oh my gosh, insecurity, upset, anger, hurt, unhappiness, all of that insecurity, all of it is just a thought created dream of my making. And he said it was like an explosion going off in his head. And for 3 days and 3 nights, he didn't sleep. He goes, oh my God, I'm not my unhappiness. I'm not my insecurity. I'm not my anxiety. It's just made up. And that's true for every person on this planet. So you can see why we talk a lot about the inside out nature of the power of the universe creates our mental activity constantly. And whatever thought content is created by the universe in us at that moment, we experience. It's not wrong. It's not bad. It can't happen any other way. It's a beautiful thing. It's the only way we can have any experience. Thank God I can laugh and cry and have all kinds of experience, but it makes a huge difference where you think your experience is coming from. So here's an example. I have a client who works for the BBC. She calls me up, and I had worked with her before. She used to have to go on TV and would get incredibly anxious. And so I worked with her until she was not frightened by her own experience anymore. So anxiety stopped being a problem, and it reduced dramatically. No longer interfered in any way with her life. I saw that happen to Jen. Same thing. No longer caught up in and identified with the experience of insecurity and then thinking it has something to do with circumstance. That's the misunderstanding people talk about, or part of the misunderstanding. It's not all of it, it's part of it. Part of it is we don't realize our true nature, our vastness, our divine nature, our essence as wisdom, creativity, the power to create. And we suffer. We think we're little. That's what insecurity is. We think we're little, separate, not part of the whole. It's all innocent. So she gets in touch with me, this friend from England, and she says, Dicken, I really would love it if you could talk to my 10-year-old daughter. She's the sweetest, most beautiful person. I love her to pieces. We have a great relationship, but she must have picked up all my worry habits, because the school contacted me and said, this little girl gets so anxious. She can't even think or speak or function. And she just, in a sense, curls up and doesn't do anything. And we think she's going to need to be taken out of school. She's going to have intensive therapy. She's going to have to maybe go to a school for kids who have difficulties. I don't want her to go the traditional route where they think it's her past and she's going to end up exploring that. Because you learn pretty quickly, sometimes the way we think about the future that doesn't exist or the past that now doesn't exist creates strong emotions that, if we get caught in, create a lot of problems for us. So I said, I'd love to talk with your daughter. I'm not really taking clients, but I'll make an exception here. I think the world of you, and how could I say no to your family? I said, I think she'll probably pick it up pretty quick because I saw what happened to you. I said, we'll just have short little sessions. So the first time we came on Zoom, there's Mom. And I had said, Mom, I'd like you to be there with your daughter so she feels comfortable, but I was expecting both of them. And there's Mom. And I say, oh, hi, how you doing? And how's it going? And then I said, hey, I thought your daughter was going to join us. And she's going like this, pointing behind her back. And I realize her daughter is right behind her, crouched down, hiding. Now, kids are really smart. They can read state of mind a mile away. And the easiest way to read it is tone of voice, because you can't hide if you have judgment or an agenda in your voice. And by your eyes, you know how they say your eyes are the windows to your soul. So she's checking me out. Is this guy safe? That's how we can tell in relationships if someone is safe. They're feeling, which comes through their tone of voice and their eyes, because you can't hide your state of mind. You can try. It's in the feeling. So after I start talking with Mom, and I say, you know, what are you seeing lately? Because I love listening to her talk about the principles. She's my teacher, because she has insights, and it's continued for her. So I'm listening to her for a minute, and all of a sudden I see this little face peek out over her shoulders, little eyes looking at me, and I go, oh, hi. I'll call her Alyssa. You must be Alyssa. And she pops back down again. She's checking it out, checking the feeling. Cats do the same thing. Dogs do the same thing. Kids do the same thing. We just don't realize the extent that adults do the same thing too. That's why Sid talked about the feeling so much. You can't bullshit the feeling. So she pops back out again. I say, Alyssa, how old are you? She says 10. I say, what do you like to do? And she says, I like unicorns. I said, you like unicorns? Tell me about unicorns. You know, we talked about unicorns for 20 minutes. I learned more about unicorns than I had ever learned in my whole life. Did you know if you touch the horn of a unicorn, beautiful colored butterflies fly out of the horn? I didn't know that. I asked her how many unicorns she had, and she said, I said, where are they? And she said, in my bedroom. I said, tell me about your bedroom. What do you have in your bedroom? And she gave me a virtual tour. Just told me everything in her bedroom, and we had good talks about that. We had a connection. We had rapport. I don't like to teach anybody unless I have rapport with them. You have to earn it, in a sense. You have to have a good connection. You have to both be in the right state of mind to share what lies beyond this world in simple, ordinary language. The power of thought, presence, the now, knowing beyond the intellect, common sense, wisdom. So I just said to her, I mean, here we are, and it's like, it's only been about 25 minutes. We've been chatting mostly about unicorns in her room. And I said, you know, sweetie, we've been having a lot of fun, haven't we, Alyssa? I said, where do you think fun comes from? She goes, I don't know. I say, well, there's one place all feelings come from. Your mom's been learning that. I learned it. It really helped me, helps anybody who learns this. Every feeling you have, no matter what it is, comes from our thinking. You have a sad thought, you feel sad. You have a happy thought, you feel happy. And I went through just for a little bit. I said, everybody is always thinking. This is true of every person on this planet, all of your friends, your parents, you, me, everybody. And whatever we're thinking, we're feeling. And it's just a little secret in life that can really be helpful once you know that's where feelings come from. Okay, half an hour came, we finished. I said goodbye. I made an agreement to meet with her in a few days for another short talk. See how she was doing with this. The second session, I come on the screen and they're sitting side by side. She's not behind her mom anymore. And I start talking to the mom, and Alyssa starts talking to me. And in between sessions, mom, just before the session, I got an email from mom saying that Alyssa had come down to the breakfast table and said, Mom, everybody has a thought factory inside of themselves. And it's making thoughts all day long so we can feel. Now, this was her insight. She was starting to realize she was a thinker, or she wouldn't have said this. I never said a word about thought factories. That was her metaphor that she came up with. Talk about creative. In a quiet moment, she realized thoughts creating my feelings. It's like a factory. It's going all day long. I got that email and I was so touched. I even shared that story with some clients that I had a little 10-year-old teacher of mine that was telling me about that we all have a thought factory inside and it works all day long. And so I told her, I said, people love your metaphor. That is so cool. And she says, well, Dick, and I have a question. Who runs the thought factory? You see, if you don't think people don't intuit truth, Sid used to say, I'm not teaching you anything you don't already know on some level. I'm just reminding you of the nature of yourself, of who you really are. I'm just reminding you. Well, she had felt so helpless in the face of this. The first thing that came to my mind when she said, who runs the Thought Factory, is I said, Alyssa, sweetie, you run the Thought Factory. You're the thinker. Now, when I say you, I'm not meaning little you, I'm meaning big you. I'm now talking to her soul, not to her intellect, not to her computer. I'm saying you run the Thought Factory.